This is episode 10, Murdock versus Nelson, Nelson versus Murdock. And it is not actually versus, it's V dot, as in a
Murdock v. Nelson?
case. Yeah, because versus would probably be a little bit more entertaining what we got in this episode. This is not a bad episode, but by God, this could have been chopped in half.
You know, I completely agree. I can't. I'm one of the staunchest defenders of this show, but this is the first episode where, because I know there are moments where you're just like, Foggy this and Foggy that. I'm like, this was the first one I saw it the first time. I'm like, okay, I may be foggied out with this episode.
See, here's the thing. The actors are really good. Even when Foggy has to say a dumb line or something like that, you know, it's like he's fine. It's just that it's not needed. And this is the perfect case of everything in the acting and what they said before. It's already there. You don't need to go this long.
His acting in this episode is not bad. It's the writing does him no favors.
Yeah.
Because it's okay acting, but after about 5 minutes of it, you're like, you get it. The college flashbacks just went on forever. And it's that same tone of voice. Like, I'm acting like a goofy college student, and like, it probably would have been fine for like just a few minutes, but I felt like that scene just dragged on.
Well, and the final image of, you know, him putting the sign in the trash can, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of like, really? You know what? In any other show, you know, in so many other shows, I would probably be okay, but again, it's that high standard that it raises itself up to, and I still do not see this as like a bad or terrible episode. I mean, it's the fact that everything else has been raised so high that when we have something
you needed this episode, but it just needed, I think you put it best, it just needed to be cut in half. There's only so much of Foggy going, I don't know what to believe, man, that like, I can take, and his performance isn't bad. The problem is,
it was set fine the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, his style of acting can be a little grating, but it is realistic. Like, I'm like, no, I believe it. It's that it just didn't need to go on that long. Like, that style of, like, the always crying and the always, I don't know,
always staring out the window.
And staring out the window and the puppy dog look, like, it would be fine in short little bursts, but, like, this was just too much Foggy. And then even Murdock near the end, just
getting
like
a little weepy-eyed and stuff. I was like,
all I could do is
I did feel that worked
after a while.
Flowingly.
After a while, it's just too much. Like it really, like I felt like it was getting very Frodo and Sam, like in a sort of bromance way, where I'm just like, okay, like the college scenes, I remember we were watching it just a few minutes ago. I was just like, oh, will you just kiss already? Like, it just...
They even make a joke about being a gay couple, I mean.
It's just overkill. And I have no problem with that. If they really were a gay couple, like, that would be an interesting story to tell. But if you're not going that route, it just is... Yeah, just too overkill.
Yeah, and again, I think because the writing is so good and the acting's so good, it's kind of like what we said in the last one where I was like, that face he gave when he saw the body of the old woman, it's like, we got it, that hit us so hard, it's like, that's enough, and then when you kind of keep going with it, exactly that, it's overkill. On this one, it's just most of the episode where I think about half of it would have been fine.
Foggy is like... I love Foggy. I love his character. I love the actor. I actually genuinely do like the performances, but they're best in short spurts. Mm-hmm. Like, you drag it out longer than it needs to be, and it wears out its welcome much faster than, say, like, you know, D'Onofrio's performance as Fisk or something.
And I know what they're doing. They're doing it like a trial. Like, well, I bring this up. Well, you know, Your Honor, I defend that I blah, blah, blah. If you remember this case, well, you remember this time. I get it, but... we kind of know, it gets to a point where we don't really care what the outcome is.
Well, and the whole theme of this episode is conflict. You've got Gao and Fisk in conflict, and she brings up the point, she's like, a man in conflict can't, you know, house divided basically cannot stand. Like, you either have to be oppressor or savior. Like, you've changed now, you're more emotional, you know, you're this and that. And it's true, Fisk is in conflict now because he has Vanessa. And... the difference, like, the interesting difference is Murdock's conflict is different. Murdock is all about, should I stay in the shadows? Should I kill Fisk? take that extra step. Fisk's conflict was, should I go into public? Should I come out of the shadows? And just as Fisk said, as he realized that he got emotional, particularly with the Russians, and he's like, that's the way to break a man, is to tug his heartstrings somehow, bait. Like, now we see it happening in reverse to Fisk, because he exposed himself at this party, and now people are getting poisoned.
Well, and the whole time when, that incredible, I didn't see it coming. My only guess is that it's Gao. I don't know. I know you know, but I don't actually know who it is. That's my only guess. I have no clues outside of that. The only other thing I saw is that, I always forget his name, the Patch Adams guy.
Leland.
Yeah, is that it almost looked like, he's looking around and then dropped his glass, almost like, oh, I gotta keep up appearances, but it's...
I noticed that too. Like the first time I saw it, I was looking at him like,
Because I didn't see whether or not
he handed out the champagne.
Yeah.
He's like, who else needs a drink as much as me?
And I didn't see if he actually sipped it or not, but yeah, no, it's funny. When I saw the person drop, some sort of murder, then I saw another person drop champagne, I'm like, could be the champagne? And then I'm like, oh, Vanessa had the champagne! And I was so much more invested.
Vanessa!
I was so much more invested in the two of them that when it cut back to Foggy and Murdock, I'm like, oh, fuck off! Come on, go back to the party! What's going on at the party?
I completely agree, because then the episode ended and my wife is just like, we have to watch the next one now. I'm like, I know, because I was just like, I did not want to cut back to
This is
Murdock.
probably the most time, because I'm gonna go home, go back to actually to the office and film and stuff. I got work to do and stuff, and this is the time where I'm just like, oh, I want to see the next one because of it, but not...
Son of a bitch!
I mean, in a good way, because I want to see what happens, but in a pissed off way, because it's like, damn it, we could have been getting this information instead of watching group counseling with the two of them. And I usually love episodes where it goes slower and you dive more into the character and stuff.
I would have thought that it's very strange. I would have thought the reveal that Foggy now knows that Murdock is the man in the black mask or Daredevil to be... If you told me that in this series that they were doing a whole episode dedicated to it, on paper I've been like, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And that's why I came out of it just feeling very strange, like, that was nowhere near as good as I thought it was going to be. It wasn't bad.
I just figured out one main problem with those flashbacks. Everything was a positive memory. Everything.
Yeah.
There was no conflict to begin with, so you can feel the manipulation.
Hey, we're gonna start and there's only so much of that style of acting out of him. And I said the writers aren't doing him favors. Foggy always has to be in those flashbacks. Hey, I'm the wild and crazy guy, and then Murdock just does his thing where he smiles casually and says things in little short bursts.
And it feels less realistic.
Yeah.
It feels like, okay, this is being used as a device, and I'm sure they're really going to stay apart, and I'm sure they're never going to get back together as a law firm. I'm sure that's going to happen. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like...
and I say this in the same way we talk about Avatar, how there are no bad episodes, that we're judging the best from the not as best, but this section, those flashbacks to me, probably the weakest parts of the whole series for me, right there. It was the first time I really felt like, wow, I am not interested, kind of getting annoyed slowly, it's the first time, which is good. I mean, we're so far into the series. Like, most other shows by now have had, a ton of moments where I'm just like, oh my god, but most of them I've been pretty okay with. This is the first time I'm like, I'm kind of actively bored and annoyed.
I would argue that them talking, at first it's great. I thought they were playing it great and wonderful, and it's not their fault. It just went on way too long. I thought it really went on. I would still kind of argue that the one where he's stuck in the place with the Russian, and has to keep him alive and stuff, that's probably still my least favorite, because it was just so boring to look at. Aside from the phone call,
very close.
that's it. This, at least, every time it cut back to the Kingpin, it was good.
That is true. Well, there was
even
something
the beginning. The beginning of them talking, and even the flashback is fine.
I will say this: you're probably right, just because more stuff happened in this, even with the problems. But I'm saying only those parts of this episode. I'm not saying I have a problem with the other parts of the episode, because the other parts of the episode were really good.
Yeah.
The reveal with Fisk's mother.
Yeah, no, I definitely didn't see that coming. I thought it was going to be maybe Karen's mom or something.
More conflict. Now, Ben Urich's got the conflict of, do I keep investigating Fisk, or do I, do what's right by my wife?
Even that scene got a little boring.
Wow. This
No.
Such hatred.
No. When she suddenly said, hi, handsome again, it's like, oh, it's like, now you get it. And that was pretty heartbreaking. But, even that conversation was just like, yeah, okay, what's going on with Kingpin? But again, I'm being really nitpicky. Now, she did know that was Fisk's mother going in, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was gonna say that.
Otherwise, that's
that would be the motherfucking what the hell of coincidence.
I'll spoil it for you and say yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's no
and they'll
way.
deal with that. But just because that was my immediate thought. I'm like, well, she had to have known because otherwise, that is the world's biggest coincidence. How?
I'm just wondering why.
Why
didn't she just say, on the way over, I fucking found Fisk's mother, and just go out? I mean, just no, come with me. Let's check the place out. Just knocking a random door. It's like, no, you could have just said, holy fucking shit, Fisk's mother. But again, TV storytelling wise, that wouldn't have worked as well. And that's a nitpick.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, we always seem to get like the most emotional over stuff that's actually not really that bad, But I think it's because we care so much.
Well, and everything else, everything else in this episode was so good. I think that's part of it. So.
So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say this is necessarily nitpicking as it was slow, and I think people that watch it would probably say, yeah, this did feel kind of slow. And
I have no idea. I haven't read any reviews of the show episode by episode, so I don't know what audience reaction was to this.
Maybe
all I can say is that I don't even think it's nitpicky. I think honestly it was a weak section of this episode and of kind of the show altogether. Like, I kind of want a rewrite of it because I'm like, to me it should be a scene that really resonates with me, and it strangely enough didn't.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's one problem in an otherwise really good show. Like, it didn't break the show. It's just one of those, like, they do so well that I'm like, oh, like, so close.
Yeah, I really would argue they're kind of too good. They did the length that most normal shows would do it, but you get the picture so quickly and so well that when you do it the normal amount, it's like, no, we get it, and we're done. Now this is just kind of repeat. So like I said, I think, and what we're feeling, it's like we already feel it. And they're trying to emphasize it even more, and it's not needed. So it's one of those things where it's like, they probably just did their job too well, with everything else.
I pretty much agree.
Yeah, but not terrible. I mean, it's not like, our first bad episode. I mean, like you said, it's just varying levels of, what's
This was a better... To me, the scenes that didn't work in this episode didn't work more than in the warehouse episode. Mm-hmm. But overall, this episode was better because it had better scenes with Fisk and Gao and Vanessa and the poisoning and the, all of that. So it's pick your poison, I guess.
Yeah. Oh!
Kill me. Wait.
Yes.
With poison.
So, yeah, that's about it. We will see you at the next one. Later.